Hello, welcome to Talking Points. Ferdinand Marcos, Jean-Claude Duvalier, Mobutu Sese Seko, and now Laurent Gbagbo and Tunisia's ousted strongman Ben Ali. The list of disgraced dictators to see their assets frozen by Switzerland grew by 2 names this week as Swiss authorities moved to block their cash lifelines. Now, for the world's corrupt, the secretive Alpine nation, with its tight-lipped banking laws, has long been regarded as a perfect place to stash ill-gotten gains. But now the country's keen to change that image. By unilaterally freezing Ben Ali and Gbagbo's assets, Switzerland hopes to encourage their countries to seize the cash back. Is this a new trend? Is Switzerland now setting a good example of good banking behavior for others? Well, with me today to discuss this are my guests. On my left, Maud Perdriel-Vaissiere. Welcome to the show. You are a legal advisor and managing director of Sherpa Associates, legal firm, and you've gone after the cash of quite a few dictators in the past. We'll get to that. And on my right, Sofiane Abouara. Welcome. You're a professor of finance here in Paris at Dauphine University. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Sofiane, I'm going to start with you. Switzerland didn't just freeze Ben Ali's assets. It also froze the assets of 40 members of his family, at least 40 members. A significant move, you could argue. Switzerland clearly sending a signal it wants to change its image.
Absolutely. Switzerland wants to change its image in accordance with what they decided during the G20 in London with the Organization of Economic and Cooperation and Development, because they wanted to be removed from the grey list of tax havens. And therefore they don't want to be assimilated to a safe haven for dictators.
So if you have dirty money, Switzerland's saying, don't think of putting it here.
Yes,
we're not going to let it.
Exactly. They had pressure from France, from European Union, from United States, from Germany, and for that reason they don't want to be associated with these dictators.
But Maud, Switzerland obviously still has its bank secrecy laws. Those have not gone away. And you've gone after the money, the Sherpa Associates of leaders from Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, the Republic of Congo, so you know what it's like. You can still keep money in Switzerland, right? You can still do it if you want to, dirty money.
Yes, but not if there is a criminal investigation. So, I mean, at some point, laws have to change. And actually, Switzerland is setting an example because they have recently changed the law in Switzerland to facilitate the restitution of illicit assets when victim states is unable or unwilling to conduct the appropriate legal process. They have met so many obstacles with the Mobutu case that now they are willing to change. They are willing to make sure...
Former Zaire Mobutu case,
yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so they are willing to move forward and to make sure that the Article 51 of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, which makes restitution of illegal assets a fundamental principle, is fully respected.
Is respected. So what Switzerland is really doing here is it's not waiting for Ivory Coast or Tunisia to make the request to get that cash.
Yeah, exactly.
Switzerland saying, we'll freeze it.
Yeah, exactly. This is the best way, actually, to make sure that those assets are given back to Tunisian state. So they have to do it.
Also because we are in a context where France decided with the TRACFIN sale to freeze this asset. European Union will take the decision under the pressure of France before end of January to freeze. So they have a preemptive action to freeze this asset.
So the European Union is also following suit as well.
It's about
Exactly.
to do it.
And yes, it's about.
Yeah,
no.
it is not done.
Yes,
yeah.
before the end of January.
And what you just mentioned, you said the word TRACFIN for our viewers
Yes.
out there who haven't heard that term. That's a special unit set up by what, France's finance ministry?
Exactly.
It is an anti-money laundering agency.
Yes. So it is under the control of the economy and finance minister. And this unit can freeze the assets and ask all the bank against the principle of banking secrecy to hold all the
cash.
cash accounts, properties, and checks, and to put it under the control of the government.
Okay.
Yes, but the problem, this is the reason why actually Sherpa filed a case before the public prosecutor in Paris, is that measure is good, but it is not enough to guarantee actually the right to restitution, because the seizure measure cannot exceed 48 hours. after 48 hours, they cannot block the assets anymore.
So there's a time limit on
Yeah,
this.
the time limit when TRACFIN take this decision, but when the French government take the decision in accordance with the Code Monétaire and Financier, it lasts 6 months. They can freeze for a political decision.
Yes, but it requires a decision from the European Union. So we are still waiting for that decision.
We need some harmonization here, it sounds like. Maud, I want to go back, though, to the broader issue here. The money in Ben Ali's case that has been frozen by Switzerland, these people aren't stupid. I doubt you can just go to a Swiss bank and it says, Ben Ali, account number 10, $1 million or euros or whatever. How do you start to trace this money? They're trying to hide it.
The first thing to do is to identify the members of the family, of the clan, but not only the direct members, but also all the close associates and people that might be people in companies that might be used as frontmen or front companies, because most of those properties, most of those bank accounts, most of those shares in companies are not under the name of those people, but under the name of frontmen.
They're also located in tax havens, in offshore banks that belong to the grey list of the European for Economic Cooperation and Development. So it's very difficult technically to find these.
So you literally have to be a very good detective.
Yes, because they are very good. They have very good advisor in finance.
Yeah, sure.
So this is the same way.
Now, in Ben Ali's case, we've been reading some of the papers this week. There have been mentions he had a house on the Faubourg Saint-Honoré, one of Paris's most chic boulevards. He had a house on the Côte d'Azur, the French Riviera. They seem to know where his assets are.
But just one word. It is only the top of the iceberg because he is supposed to possess 5 billion euros. That's all.
How much?
5 billion
5
euros.
billion euros.
I mean, I think it's very hard to estimate the wealth of the Ben Ali family.
Of course.
Not to mention that, those assets could be bank accounts, shares in companies, it could be properties, it could be, there are many assets. Besides, the simple fact that those assets are located in France doesn't mean that they are illegal in themselves, actually. It could be, they could be legal. So the big issue is to launch an investigation so as to determine the sources of funding for these assets. Were they acquired legally or not? And if they were not acquired legally, they have to be given back to the Tunisian population.
But they can have been acquired legally by a dictator.
What I mean by legally or not legally is were they acquired with public funds, actually, with Tunisian money.
Okay.
This is
So, Sofiane, I've seen somewhere the estimation that the Ben Ali clan controlled as much as 35% of Tunisia's economy. Does that mean somehow all that money has to be recuperated and given back to the population?
Well, if it is true, because we globally know that money laundering represents something like 3% of any GDP of a country. But if it is true, I think obviously this money had to come back to the Tunisian people and new government. Yes.
Have you been successful before in getting money back in previous cases?
Actually, as you mentioned, we initiated a case in 2007, and after 3 years, an investigation has just been launched, like a few weeks ago. And so we do hope that this case will succeed. But, legal process takes years,
Takes forever, right?
So we can't, so far there is no precedent for such an action.
Another dictators died like Pinochet, so it's quite difficult to take back their money.
So in other words, the time it takes to sometimes get this money, to freeze it, to get... And also now, the onus, the burden is now on Tunisian Ivory Coast, in Gbagbo's case, to actually now launch criminal investigations.
Yes. Because this unit, for example, TRACFIN, but globally speaking, the Ministry of Finance, has to combat financing of terrorism, funding of crime, proceeds of crime, of public corruptions, and money laundering. So therefore, this covers all the scope of the illegal activity of dictators.
So, and it's all over the place. Is there a time limit for freezing assets? Because
she said 48 hours when TRACFIN take a technical decision to freeze, but on the Code Monétaire and Financier, the French rule that governs the economy and finance, said that we have the French Minister of Economy and Finance has 6 months under which she can freeze the asset in France.
In France, but Switzerland is not even a member of the European Union.
No, so this is a problem. But they have to cooperate with the international rule accepted by most of the big countries in the world during the London Summit of 2009 and under the with the cooperation of the OECD.
Okay.
Therefore, they should align their position with the other big countries.
Now, we've been asking this question, is Switzerland setting a good example? Maybe let me ask the other question. Is it setting a bad example as well? It's waited so long. It's not like these people just became dictators yesterday.
Yeah, actually, they could have done it before with Duvalier, with Mobutu, with Suharto. Yeah, they could have.
They waited a very long time.
Yes, they waited for sure. But I mean, most of Western jurisdiction have done nothing so far.
Okay.
So Switzerland is setting an example, and I mean, France should do something about that. The UK should do something about that. I mean,
they haven't yet, but they should.
Yeah, they should.
They have not yet. I'm a dictator. I have 100 million euros to stash in a bank. Switzerland's getting tough. The European Union is getting tough. Where should I go now?
Uruguay, Panama, Philippines, and at lower levels, Liechtenstein, Monaco, for example.
So what you're suggesting is these countries are still on that grey list we were talking about earlier.
Yes, because the grey list has different range of cooperation. Some people, like obviously France, totally cooperate. France, Germany, UK, totally cooperate. Traditionally, it's always the case. But other countries are in intermediate position. Mm-hmm. They not totally cooperate, and others still absolutely not cooperating, like Uruguay, Philippines. So Monaco, Liechtenstein are in the middle of this range.
China is also becoming
yes.
a place to invest.
A place to really to invest. You need to put where in China? Hong Kong? Or?
Yeah, Hong Kong. Yeah.
Do you see a shift really from the old havens now?
Yeah, and
to
actually some. I mean, it is also to be related with historical relations. I mean, France is a place to invest because former, Gabon, Congo, those countries have links with the French territory.
Right.
Just as Mobutu had links with Belgium, or so and countries like Zimbabwe are mostly laundering their money in China.
Well, this is going to be fascinating to have to sort of follow where this money all goes. Now, are you optimistic that at some point there will be sort of maybe an international law governing these types of accounts?
I think that all the big countries will cooperate, and they are still begin to cooperate since 2009. But there are some tax havens in Latin America, some in Europe that's will keep on working with these dictators because it is their comparative advantage to have this dirty money. So they will still work with that.
They'll still work with it. Yes. Final word to you, Maud. We have less than 30 seconds here. Will Tunisia get this money back now from Switzerland? Are you optimistic?
Yes, I am. I hope so, yeah.
All of it? A little of it?
Actually, I can't tell you, but I hope so.
You think they'll track it down, they'll identify it, and be able to recuperate it?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's feasible.
Let's end on an optimistic note today, but obviously an interesting challenge here. Switzerland has frozen the account of the now former dictator of Tunisia, Ben Ali. Laurent Gbagbo's accounts have also been frozen, and now it is in the hands of the money recoverers to try to trace that money and for the governments to then get it back to the people. You've been watching Talking Points here on France 24.